I know you might think that you're stuck and that's why you're not moving forward. But here's something I think you need to hear. You are not stuck. You're probably just scared. Let's talk about it. This is Looking for My Fit.
You may not have everything you like, but I'm here to bring it light. Take a seat, join the ride. Elephant if it goes down tonight. We'll bring the party right to you. If you wanna laugh, hear good news. Bring your friends, family too. Looking for my fit is what I do. Looking for my fit, looking for my fit, yeah. Looking for my fit, looking for my fit, yeah. Looking for my fit, looking for my fit, yeah. Looking for my fit, looking for my fit, yeah.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Looking for My Fit podcast. My name is Meek, and I'm so excited to have you here. If this is your first time tuning in, hey, y'all. I'm so happy to have you here. Welcome. And if you are a returning listener, you know I love y'all. Thank y'all for always tuning in. It just makes me feel so special to know that you all come back and listen every week. So thank you. I really appreciate it. All right, so let's jump into it, y'all. At the beginning of the episode, I said, you're not stuck. You're scared. And really, I'm not talking to y'all. I'm talking to myself. I am talking to myself, trying to comfort myself by saying I'm talking to someone else, but for real, that message is wholeheartedly for me. This week, I put up a post, or maybe it was at the end of last week. Well, anyway, I had to be real with myself. I was thinking about different things that I have going on, or should I say things I don't have going on, because I'm scared. No, seriously, you ever have ideas that come to mind? Like you have like this idea and you can like map it all out in your head. Like you got it mapped out. You have all these dreams, hopes, thoughts of how it could go. And then you get pumped up and you like, okay, here we go. Step one, we're executing. And then you punk out. Y'all, that is me, man. I be punking out. I'm not going to lie. I stay punking out of something, but I'm working on it. So I'm not just going to sit in it. But that's where the quote came from the other day. So a lot of times when I put stuff up, it's not me trying to be my boy Alvin sent me a message the other day. I can't remember what he said. He said it was a funny name that he said when he said he was being funny when I put it up. But seriously, I'm not putting this from a place of like, let me help the people. Let me help them see the error of their ways. I'm not in that space at all. When I put stuff up, it is for me. And I just share it because I feel like I'm probably not alone in, the motivational things that I'm having to say to myself. And y'all, I was not wrong. So I put the post up, and that is the second most shared post that I have ever put up. Like it was shared a lot. I think it was probably shared over 30 times. And that just said to me, I'm not alone. So if you feel like it's just you and everybody else around you looks really brave, you're not alone. Even if you just in the company of me, you are not alone. You are not alone. So let's expand a little bit. So again, sometimes I have these ideas and I can see the vision nice and clear. And I will get excited and I'm ready to go for it. But when the time comes to really execute it, I just get scared. It is just so many little me. If you listen to the episode with Yolanda, she talked about pushing little me down. Little me be coming out to brawl. I mean, she is relentless. Little me be like, what up? And I'm like, big me. I need big me. I need you to come out and I need you to scrap with little me because she is feisty. Little me is feisty. If you haven't listened to the episode, little me is like that inner voice, or as Stevon Lewis. You should follow him on Instagram. He's amazing. His whole platform is about fighting against imposter syndrome. He calls it your inner bully. Tries to talk you down. So you start focusing on all the negative things that you can think of. And half of the stuff that you haven't fact checked isn't even true about yourself. It's just something that you have allowed yourself to believe that has no merit behind it. But those are the things that keep you from pursuing whatever it is that you want to do. So little me just don't give me a break. Telling y'all, she's feisty, and I'm trying to bulk up big me because I'm like, look, little me is bringing the heat. Whew, tell you, daily battle. But the main thing is, it's a daily battle. It's not a daily loss. I show up and I fight little me every day. But here's what I wanted to say. I wanted to share a victory in me, uh, pushing through the fear and acknowledging the fact that I am, in fact, not stuck. I'm just scared. And so the only way I can get through the fear is to get through the fear. I heard somebody say this the other day, and I'm going to share that with you. And I was like, listen, that's straight up. The only way I can get through the fear is through the fear. That's it. So took my family to DC. My family and I went to DC for a few days. We had an amazing time. Like, I really just checked out. We just enjoyed that trip to the fullest. Carlos actually used to live in DC for 5 years, so I spent a good amount of time in DC. That's where he was living when we got engaged. But the kids had never been, so we went and just had a really good time. So anyway, on the way back, I was listening to my audiobook, Atomic Habits. I was listening to it, and I got a message on Instagram, or a notification. So I looked at the notification, and somebody had shared that post, "You're not stuck, you're scared." And they had tagged me when they shared it. And so when they tagged me, I was like, oh, let me go look and see who it is, and check out their profile. And y'all, I will go down a rabbit hole on Instagram. Anybody else get caught up in those? Just me? Okay. So anyway, I go, and it's for a podcast. I hope I'm saying this right, called the Mind, MIND Dev podcast, DEV. I think I'm saying it right. And so anyway, I'm looking, and he has just a few posts. Looks like a newer page. And I looked at some of the quotes that he had from the guests he had on there, and I was like, oh, this looks good. And we were again traveling back from DC on this day. So this was Sunday. And we had plenty of time. So I was like, well, let me go and check out the podcast. I'm a podcast junkie. So I pressed play on his first episode, and he had a guest named Evan Carmichael. I hadn't heard of Evan Carmichael, but then when I went and looked him up, I'm like, well, I'm one of the few who have not heard of him. He is very popular, which was very impressive because this was his first episode of his podcast, and he went for it. He shot for the moon. Like, hey, I admire you. I read your book. You want to be on the podcast? But anyway, what he was talking about on the podcast was learning how to not be afraid of failure, because you're saying, basically embracing failure is the only way to get to your success. Not saying you have to fail to succeed, but you have to be willing to say, hey, there may be times when I fail, but really it's not failure because I'm going to get something from it. And that's how I'm going to get to the success. One of the things that Yolanda talked about too. But one of the things that he talked about that really resonated with me, and I was like, okay, was what he called the gap time. And he talked about the fact that what we need to do is narrow our gap time. And what gap time is basically, I'm paraphrasing, so I'm not quoting him, but basically what he's saying is your gap time is the time between when you have an idea and then when you actually act on it and put forth the effort to execute the idea. He's like, so let's cut down the gap time. And he said something that I was like, you think about all the things that you didn't execute because you possibly could have been afraid of the failure, but you don't know that you would have failed. And we just kind of go in just assuming that it would. So he asked the host, how long between when you wanted to ask me and when you actually asked me to be on your podcast, how much time had passed? Now, the host, again, he had just gone for it. So I forgot what he said, but the amount of time he had was pretty short. It was pretty short. And so Evan, the guest, actually said, "Oh, that's pretty impressive." He said, "Because normally when I ask people, when did you first think about inviting me on your podcast?" He said, they'll usually say like months or a year or 2 years. And he says, I hate that you waited that long because if you had asked me when you first thought about it, I would have said yes. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like, how many times have I not asked the question because I just assumed that the answer would be no? Too many to count. That's how many. Oh my gosh. Y'all, I seriously cannot tell you how many times I've been like, I mean, I could ask, but there's no way. There's no way. There's no way. And I've done that before. So I started thinking about that. And I again had time on my hands. Shout out to my husband who does all the driving when we go places and we drive. It is quite the luxury. I am very appreciative. I hope he listens to this and knows I just want to keep that party going. But I had time on the passenger side to reflect. And I was trying to think about why, like what is the deal with that? And I think it was just more than anything the sting of disappointment when I've asked somebody for something and they said no. Um, Primarily because I don't know if you all know about the Enneagram. I need you to go look it up. Enneagram. Ask Siri how to spell it. Not about to put myself on the spot, but it starts with an E, Enneagram. It's your numbers, not like a horoscope. It's like a number that helps to describe like your personality type. I am an 8 through and through, the number 8. And one of the things about the number 8 is it's very hard to be vulnerable, right? It's hard for me to do that. And it's something I have to push through daily. Y'all know, y'all have seen part of the journey. I'm working on it and I'm a lot better, but it's still something I have to be very mindful of. So for me, because vulnerability is hard, sometimes when I feel like I'm asking for help, that's very vulnerable of me, that's outside of what I would normally do. And so when I put myself out there and somebody says no, I tend to take that as rejection. Oh, I've been rejected. And that's why I don't put myself out here. Forget you. That's usually where it goes. But I know better than that. I know better. And here's the thing, people have told me no so many times and I'm still standing. And that was the aha moment. Like, yeah, people have told you no. And I've had people who straight up looked me in my face and said, like, hey, once you do this, we'll do that. I got you. And then when the time comes back around, and I'm like, man, because I have a problem asking for help. I really do. I've gotten better. I've learned how to do it. It's part of my self care. But it takes a lot for me. Even when somebody says, hey, when you get this, just come back and let me know. It's hard for me to then go back and follow up. So I've had situations where I've gone back to follow up and the person fell through and like didn't. And I was like, see, that's why I don't be asking people for help. And that's why I do stuff on my own anyway. See, this is exactly why. And then I feel justified in cutting myself off. See? It's a whole cycle. We're working through it. We're working through it. But again, I realized like you've pushed past that. It happened and you're still standing, girl. So why don't you just go ahead and do that? So I said all that to say this. I put it into motion and I want to share that victory with you. Now, details will be forthcoming. It's a lot to work out, but when the time is right, I will share. I had an idea the other day, and it's something that had kind of been floating in my brain, not to the extent that it was the other day, but like an idea, a nudge, a little tug, where you like, God, is that you? Is this for me? Did you throw that pebble at me? Was that for me? So I kept feeling like the little tink of the pebble. And I was like, man, like, I really think this is something I should try to move forward on. But here's the thing, for what I want to do, there's part of it I can do and there's part of it I can't. But that's one thing I will say is good about me. I will own up when I can't figure something out, when I can't do it. And so I was like, I really would need some help on this. And I knew who I wanted to possibly work with for it, but little me was like, there's a good possibility that they will say no. So, how about you not throw yourself out there? And then I thought about that podcast and thought about him saying, "You waited 2 years to ask me on the show. And if you had asked me 2 years ago, I would have said yes." And I was like, ask the question. So, y'all, I immediately sent a message and said, okay, message done. Now, y'all, I need y'all to understand. Like, there was like a little, like, tink, 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 kind of had like a little idea. But then it didn't really hit me till I got to the gym the other day. Now, this is for my own personal workout. I get to the gym, I got my AirPods in, I'm warming up, and it hit, and I was like, yo, stop doing this. Like, send the message to the people, send the message to the people. And all they can say is yes, no, or not right now, or let me think on it and I'll get back to you. Like, those are the only possibilities that can happen. So, without any true outline, line, plan, anything to like present, I was like, message sent. Took a deep breath and was like, okay, well, send it out there. Now, I was also thinking, well, maybe they won't even see it. Well, during the workout, I get a notification. Yeah. Here is a link where you can sign up to schedule a phone call. And so I look at it, and there are some times like later in the week, but there was one slot left for that day. Little me, with her feisty self, was like, girl, schedule that thing for later this week because you know you ain't ready to talk about nothing. And just schedule it for later so you have some time to get it together. But let me tell you something. Big me came out swinging, was like, little me, get back. We're scheduling that call for today. And so I did. I hit it, and then I was like, okay. So time comes, phone call happens. I have to be transparent. Listen, this idea came to me about 3 hours ago in the gym. This came to me like 3 hours ago. So I'm just going to be transparent and real. I don't have any outline. But what I do have is this nudge, this little tug, this, vision of like, it's very loose skeleton of what the possibilities could be. But as I move forward, I would love the opportunity to be able to work with you on this. And the answer I got was absolutely would love to. Pure joy. Oh my gosh. That was the response. And I was so hyped. And that was exactly what I did on the phone. So they got to hear my excitement in raw form. I couldn't even hide it. But y'all, I cut down the gap time. Now now getting the yes might not always be the thing. I might not always get the yes. But guess what? I got it yesterday. And it was just because I didn't allow myself to overthink it, because I'm an overthinker. I couldn't help but to think about that podcast with the gap time and just saying, like, you're not stuck, you're scared. Do it. I don't believe things happen by chance. And I don't believe, like, even though you put different hashtags on your posts. And so he may have found my post because of the hashtags that I put up, because I think podcast is one of the hashtags for my post. But him seeing my post, sharing it, and tagging me, because people, you can share posts without tagging people. I share posts without tagging people all the time. So he could have just shared it and I never would have even known, unless, I went to check. And so, I mean, sometimes I check, sometimes I don't. But again, I try to keep the main thing, which is the impact. That's what I try to focus, what I keep my main focus on, and not get caught up in how many people liked it, how many people, just like put it out. Most of the time I post stuff and I close my phone and go away. But I don't think that was by chance. I don't think it was by chance, that happened. I needed to hear that podcast episode so that when that idea hit me, that I didn't waste time. I was like, gap time, go. And, it worked in my favor. And I tell you what, as I just really start to think about stuff, the little me tried to come back out and, tried to have some other stuff to say. I tell you, I just need to sit down somewhere. But it was definitely like, well, start thinking about the what ifs. And I was like, no, we're not going to do that. And I've been more mindful these last couple days to really speak positive to myself. And I'm thinking positive affirmations and I'm speaking all the good things because I'm going to tell you what I normally do. When I get excited about something and I start thinking about the good things, I calm myself down and be like, well, just, don't think too big. Let's just start off small. No, forget that. I'm thinking big. I'm going for the gusto. Like, listen, listen. Why do we think everything that happens has to be small? But why do we think big things can't happen if we talk about it? I'm going to talk about it. I am already claiming, ultimate success. That's it. Like more impact than what I could have even imagined. I'm speaking it. Like the whole point of this, the idea and what I want to do is about impact, genuinely about impact. And in my mind, I'm thinking this is going to be able to impact so many people. It's going to be even greater than what I'm imagining. It's like what I'm imagining, like the impact is going to be more than I even could dream of. And I'm claiming that. And that's how I am pushing back on little me. And that is how I am pushing through the fear. Because again, as Evan Carmichael said, the way to get through fear is through fear. Yolanda Haywood said, the way to get through it is to get through it. And so I'm just pushing through. But y'all, if I can give you a word for today, it is cut down the gap time. That's I'm telling you, that's going to be a major game changer for me because I'm an overthinker. I'm somebody who will think something into being non-existent. Started out with a grand idea and end up being like, what were we talking about? what was this conversation about? I don't even remember. What were you saying? I will overthink it to that point, like all the way down. And that's because I give myself too much gap time. So now it's going to be, hey, idea, make a move. And again, either it's going to be successful. If it's not successful, it turns into a lesson. We recoup, we regroup, we go again. And it's going to have to be a conscious thing. I realize that. Big me has to hit the gym. We hitting the gym, we strength training and we ready. But that's what we have to do. So I just want to encourage somebody that if there's something you've been wanting to do or someone you've been hoping to work with, ask the question. Just ask. Go for it. Throw yourself out there. See what happens. Because you never know. Like, could they say no? Yep. But they could also say yes. And so really your options are usually going to be you're going to hear yes, no, or not at this time, or let me think on it and get back to you. Those are about the only options that you have, right? And you've heard no before and you're still standing. So stand on that. Let's cut down the gap and let's get to stepping out here and, being active and walking towards purpose. When something is tugging on you a lot, I just believe like, the dream you had, the feeling you got, the thing that keeps popping up. Because usually when you start thinking about it, you start seeing stuff. That, and it goes with it. And you're like, what? It's not by chance. All these are your signs, like make a move. So, hey, let this be your inspiration. I'm so excited to share that with y'all. And I'm excited for, to hear more stories about people who are cutting down the gap time. Now, listen, let me say one more thing before we go. This might sound a little disjointed, but I am me. Y'all, on so many episodes, I talked about the show, Looking for My Fit. And y'all, then I put out the first episode and I never even mentioned it on the podcast, y'all. I never mentioned it. So there's only been one episode that's been out. I have the second one ready, but I haven't put it out yet. But I have a show on YouTube. So I need you to go to YouTube and look it up. I have like full episodes of these recordings because I do a video recording of the podcast that I placed on there. But I have different playlists, and there's a playlist that says "Looking for My Fit to Show." You click on it, you're gonna see one show. But it is good. My husband is on there. You also see my kids, and Carlos and I went head to head in a sweet tea challenge. Yes, you heard me correct. The sweet tea challenge. Part of looking for my fit show is really it's gonna be like a variety show. Whatever I want to do. That's what I'm doing on that show for now. Whatever I want to do. And that's the beauty of it being yours. And so I'd seen a video that he and I were watching on YouTube where this guy was ranking tea. So like he knew exactly what the tea was. It was hilarious. But as we were listening, I jokingly said to Carlos, like, I bet I could tell which tea is which, you know, just by the taste if I didn't even have a cup. And there was born the idea to do this sweet tea challenge. And so we went head to head in a sweet tea challenge, and it is really good. So I hope that you will go and get it. But also, I want to say that connects to today's episode because, again, one of those things where I was like, I want to do something. And I think I just want, not think, I wanted to do something fun. I wanted to do something lighthearted. Um, but then I was like, I don't know. And then I was like, no, like, just go for it. Reach out to your boy Derek, see if he can come over here. Let's record it and then do the other part of just putting it out. So I like feel like I did like a soft launch of it, said something about it one time and then walked away. But again, I'm getting better about putting myself out there some more. And so let me share that with you. If you have not gone to YouTube, and especially if you like listening to this, so you're like, hey, I listen to the podcast, so I don't have to go to YouTube. I want you to go to YouTube and look for that video. It's the Sweet Tea Challenge. So again, if you go to Looking for My Fit on YouTube, find the channel. You'll see my face there. Ta-da! And you click on the playlist, or if you just go through the videos, you'll see Sweet Tea Challenge. Check it out. Let me know what you think. And also, come join the community. The community is up, y'all. So I think the last time I talked, I don't want to be making up numbers. It was like we had 90 some people, and now we're over 100 people in the Looking for My Fit community. And I just want you to be a part of it. I have an idea of some other ways and things that I want to do with the group. But I want people to join now so that you can say, I remember when. I remember when I joined a group one time that was like low and not low, but when it just got started. If you really know me, you know that I'm a huge Kev on Stage fan, and I love him and his wife. And so I joined her Boo Hive, and I was like in the early stages of it, and now it's like over 8,000 people in the group, and it's just been amazing to watch what it has grown into. And so I'm not trying to emulate that. I just hope that the community that I grow ends up being that type of safe space for people to show up and just feel like they have that ability to be free and say what they need to say without fear of judgment, and just have a safe space to grow together. So go join the community, y'all. It's on Facebook. If you click in the show notes, I have a link that will take you to everything, y'all. So if you click the link that's in the show notes, it will take you to the YouTube channel. It will take you to, different platforms where you can listen to the podcast. It'll take you also, I have a workout on there. Y'all know I'm a trainer, and I have one of the camps that I train actually on YouTube. So I got a plethora of things on there. But the link is sociatap, SOCIA tap, TAP.com/Meek Rich. And that's all together, MEKRICH. So again, Sociatap, this is in case you're driving and you're like, I might forget it. Sociatap, SOCIATAP.com/Meek Rich. And you'll get the link to all of that. But again, y'all, I just appreciate you all coming to listen. I love you all so much. It's always exciting to get feedback from people who are listening. It's exciting for me to see new cities pop up where I can see where people are listening. And so it's always really exciting to look and be like, oh, I haven't seen this city before. Oh, this city or a new state or country. It is crazy to me to be like, somebody's listening in Germany, somebody's listening in France, England, Canada. Y'all, so when I'm seeing all this stuff come up, my mind is blown. And I'm grateful. I'm super grateful. to watch the podcast grow, to watch the community grow. So thank you. You all are a huge part of my life, even if we haven't met. I appreciate you and I feel like we're family. So thanks for tuning in. All right, guys. Well, listen, go forward, be great, cut down your gap time, jump out there and try whatever it is that you've been wanting to do. And if you need a safe space to say, I'm scared, come on over to the Looking for My Fit community. We'll be happy to cheer you on. Okay. All right, guys. Until next time. Bye.
Y'all, I am so excited about this community and I really hope that you'll decide to join. You can join by clicking the link in the show notes, clicking the link in my Instagram profile, or simply by going to Facebook and searching Looking for My Fit Community with Meek Rich. Hope to see you there.